Hello everyone. We are back with the Masterclass series. Sadly, with the last decent and wholesome faction in the game, Empire. And we are here with our usual guest, Danican, who is about to teach us everything we need to know about Empire, with absolutely no exception. Now let's begin with like a general introduction. People often say that Empire is the jack of all trades, master of none faction, and I think that's somewhat misleading. Because sometimes you do outshoot the shooting faction or out cavalry the cavalry faction, but in general it's not completely wrong. What do you think? What do you say to those people who say that Empire is kind of master of none but can do most things?
Personally say it's close to the truth. I just think some components of the roster right now, as of the time of the recording, are a little bit lacking. And it ends up being the case that missile cavalry and chariots mostly are carrying Empire nowadays. But it's not completely, true to say that like, oh, all Empire cav is trash, all Empire infantry is trash. It's not true. We'll go like more close into details.
Is variety the strength of Empire, or does it have like specific strengths to it besides the fact that it can do multiple things?
I mean, variety is always a strength. Like the bigger your roster is, the more unpredictable you are in your army composition, and that's always a help. And no matter what, like it's like a passive for you. When your opponent prepares for something, he can never be sure exactly what you're gonna hit them with. But in case of Empire, I think the situation is a little bit better because majority of the roster, I'd say, is either playable or just good, and some things are close to OP, if I'm honest.
Okay, so we'll start with the roster review with the lords, as we usually do. There is a lot of stuff to cover, so we'll try to group them up in like groupings that make sense. So, for example, we have, let's call them the combat lords, I guess, which would be the general, Boris, and Franz. The main thing that I have found while playing Empire is that, Franz is the stereotypical duelist lord. Boris is there for leadership, manipulation, and the general is, I think you're the only one who I've ever seen playing with the general of the Empire. Because like he's comparatively not that cheap with Boris, I think. Well, actually, he is. He is a lot cheaper. Do you use them still, or was it just an experimental phase? He's the general of the Empire.
It was experimental phase. Should we start already with
Go
general?
Ahead. Yep.
Yeah, the general is your most vanilla combat lord. He doesn't have anything, special about him. That's why you probably don't see him that much. I think if there is anything to add about him, it's like he's pretty cheap on a Griffin. Like if you just take him, bare bones with Griffin, that's your Parasaurus with Blood Roar, which all Imperial Griffins get. It's -8 leadership to enemies. So, in a world where Boris doesn't exist, or Boris is not as good as he is right now, you'll probably see General of the Empire just on a Griffin, maybe like with Hold Line more often, but nowadays, yeah, it's not amazing. It's generally speaking, the issue is Imperial General with Griffin is 1400. Just Boris on a Griffin with regen item is 1800. So you pay like more or less one Empire Spearman, and now you get regen on your lord and a little bit better stats. It's a worth trade. You always should do it, probably.
And with let's transition into Boris, who is functionally like the generic Empire Lord, basically. He is used basically as a combat lord with, I think this is like the main loadout that you bring him with.
Yeah, I personally love Force Seeker, but it might be just a me thing. He's not great as a combat lord, especially for the price. 2300. I would definitely prefer if he would hit harder for that price. His main thing is it's a lord that's very hard to snipe because of the regen, and Crush the Weak plus Blood Roar ends up being minus 12 leadership, which is a very solid, for terror bombing. Helps a lot into factions like Beastmen, Greenskins, Skaven.
So
Nowadays,
go ahead.
Boris is a standard lord, probably. Yeah. Some people I see prefer more Marcus, which is also fair. Others prefer Balthazar Geld more. But for me personally, Boris is the most picked.
Yeah, I do think these three are like the top 3 Empire Lords, like if you by popularity, I guess.
Yeah.
And so this is more like a support combat lord, I guess, because you want the leadership effect. But if you want to kill stuff, you bring Karl Franz, right? And you bring him always on Deathclaw because you want the Blood Roar and the stats. Do you bring both weapons or just Galmaraz?
Yeah, Galmaraz obviously helps him to do his job a million times better, which is sniping big single entities. Karl Franz is like your best tool to do that. Like if you need to kill a Chaos Lord of Norgul, Karl Franz is your best way to do it. Rykon Broomfang is a very good support item though. You should always take it. Okay, like for 40 seconds, 24 melee attack and 8 leadership, it's very solid. Hold the Line is, well, it's a good buff for himself even and for everything nearby him. And since, he has a Rune Fang, you will get him into the blobs more often. And, well, I'm a Force Seeker fan, so you know what I'm gonna say.
So you want Boris to basically rear charge the infantry line while everything is engaged, while Karl Franz beelines for a single entity? Is that vaguely the plan?
Well, the terror bomb, Karl Franz is still really good for terror bombs. He still has a Blood Roar, which is -8. In comparison with Boris, it's -12. Boris has -12. For Karl Franz, it's only -8, but it's still a lot. So if Franz is either, it's too unsafe to just jump on top of the single entity, he can still do terror bombs just fine. The difference is you don't need healing magic with Boris because he regenerates himself. With Karl Franz, you're kind of locked with the Oath of Blood, Caster, life magic. And Boris helps winning blobs more. It depends. If the faction struggles with leadership, Boris helps winning blobs more. If you actually need to kill stuff, Karl Franz with Runefang helps more as well. So it depends how you feel about it. I think the main issue with Franz is you're kind of locked with the healing magic with him.
Yeah, that's the main issue there. And in magic in the Empire is as versatile as the roster because you have most lords in the game. So having locking yourself out of most possibilities does feel a bit shit most of the times, I think.
Though you can play with it, some, for example, Light Wizard and then have a Life Caster in reserve. It just sometimes it's tricky and sometimes it's a risky move, but you can still do
that. Now the other, I guess you could, I don't know if you could call it a combat lord. The other big dude, I guess, is the Master Engineer, who used to be all the rage when he came out, and after the Steam Tank nerfs, we kind of don't see him that often anymore. he does function. I almost always see him when I see him with the tank, and with Page of Bomb. I guess that would be his most common loadout, I guess. So while we are here discussing the Master Engineer, let's also discuss the sort of the two variants of the steam tank. So what's a Master Engineer? What's a steam tank? When do you want it? Where do you want it? Like, to me, I love it, but I don't see it at the top level that much. I think there might be some experimentation left to be done, and it was a bit abandoned a bit too early. But what do you think?
I mean, Master Engineer on tank is still solid. I've seen not long time ago a game against Beastman where he did a really good job. So, like, you still see him in the top levels, but he needs small map. Because, if you have points far from each other, he is going to be very awkward to use. He still locks you into healing magic, the same way Franz does. And he's a very expensive piece. Even without Pigeon Bomb, it's 2,700, which is still more expensive than, like, Karl Franz with full loadout.
Are you locked into healing with him as well? Or is there some play to it?
The same way as with Franz. Like, you can have a regrowth caster in reserve, but you need to have it. And you need to be very careful with your mana, because you don't want him, like, to get half HP, and then you're like, you know what, it's fine. We'll pull through a little bit. And then you realize it's too late to call a caster, or you call a caster and, there's not enough mana for regrowth and something.
Do you take him into factions that struggle with leadership the same way that you would take Boris?
Not necessary. You usually take him into factions that primarily deal with big single entities, either with, like, short range skirmish, same like which is like Beastman. For example, they bring Centigores with throwing axes, or they need a Gore Bull to kill something like Steam Tank. Because Ungo Raiders is just not going to pierce it. Like, it's 160 armor and directional shield.
So you take him. So this is the main reason why you take him. If you think a faction would struggle with very high armor and directional shielding.
Sort of. Like, I've seen him, like, do good even into Wood Elves, which are usually a faction notorious for them. Yeah, you can use him even into Wood Elves, if it's a small map. Again, very important point. You need a small map with points close to each other. Because directional shield helps a lot against, the way Wood Elves usually deal with single entities like that, which is an Archer Fire. But the main reason you take him is damage. Like, he does a lot of damage.
That's the reason as a chariot? Like, you mean as a chariot? Or with
no, it's not necessary. Like, as a chariot, I don't think he does that much damage. It's mostly all the cannons and the grenade launcher that Master Engineer specifically has. That's why you don't see normal, like, Steam Tank or Steam Tank volley gun, because the difference of getting a grenade launcher is huge.
Okay, so that's the main thing. We don't really. Like, is there a reason? I'm assuming the answer is no, but there is no reason you're saying that you would take one of these and not the tank if you do want a tank.
Me personally, yeah, I wouldn't. But like, Steam Tank and Steam Tank volley gun are still good units. It just, I think, taking Master Engineer on a Steam Tank is much more beneficial.
Okay,
that's my personal
that makes sense. I've been trying to make these units work, but every time I try them, I just think this is just so much better. Also because the grenade launcher helps him get unstuck sometimes into infantry, which is helpful if you're bad like me and get him stuck often enough. And he also does some good splash into cav, so that's not something to forget about.
Yeah, Steam Tank is anti-everything, especially with Master Engineer. That's the best part about it.
Let's move right and go into the two Archer-Lords. So the Huntsman General and Marcus Wolfhard are infantry-sized range lords. I believe I haven't seen a Huntsman General in like a year and a half. While Marcus is one of the most picked Empire Lords, mostly just with his net, because he's cheap. He has, I don't know why he has less missile strength than the normal dude, but whatever. Like an AoE net that lasts 10, 11 seconds is just massive on a faction with a lot of shooting and a lot of mobility as Empire. Do you take Marcus if you have a specific army in mind, or does it matter more about the enemy faction? And do you ever think about the Huntsman General, or do you forget he exists, basically, as someone who wants to learn Empire?
So, Huntsman General, I honestly tried him twice in my life, against vampire counts and against what's called Wood Elves, because he has a lot of synergy with fire. Like, all his abilities deal fire damage. Oil Flask increases massively the fire weakness. And Hail Fire, well, it's pretty much sort of like Flaming Sword in a way. But the issue is the duration is too low. And Oil Flask is very awkward to use. Like, it takes a century to point and throw that thing. And with 70 range, it's for now, I wouldn't recommend it. If Oil Flask becomes, more convenient to use and Hail Fire gets a bigger duration, I would probably try him out into Counts and into Wood Elves. But for now, nah.
So let's forget about him and talk about Marcus instead, who is probably my favorite Empire Lord, because I love shooting.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. He's great. He's amazing. Nets are one of the most powerful tools you can have in this game. Doesn't even matter if you're like a shooting faction, melee rush faction. It doesn't matter. Nets, they just provide you with so much utility. You lock things in place to focus fire them. You prevent cavalry from getting a charge bonus. You keep something in place to hit them with a spell, like pretty much guarantee. So just by having that, Marcus is already simply good. But on top of that, Marcus specifically has stalk, so you don't see him, and it's very hard sometimes to get close to Empire to scout with all the possible shooting. He can immediately cap points with Vanguard, and if he locks in on like some large target, he's gonna pay for himself pretty quickly. Amber Ball, I think it's either Focus Shot or Amber Ball, one of those, I keep forgetting which one, is also like a strong DPS ability. You probably should take it. Like if you know there's going to be something like a large single entity, it's gonna guarantee value pretty much. Just don't remember, what's the Focus Shot on Amber Ball? I think it's Amber Ball.
I never actually taken it, so I don't know. They're both good versus large combatants. Sucks it only has 2 uses though.
Yeah, but like you pay 200 and most probably even if you hit like a Caster Lord on a horse, you're gonna get the value. So if you have spare 200 gold, you probably should take it, in my opinion.
Does the same concept, like you never take the generic dude, you take Marcus, apply with the Arch-Lector and Volkmar, who are...
Yeah.
Okay, so the Arch-Lector is just cool looking because he has 2 hammers, but let's talk about Volkmar the Grim. Who is he? What does he do? Where do I take him? Why does he always die when I play with him, even if he has regen? let's talk about this.
He shares with Boris the same utility, which is you have a tanky lord with regen. But in case of Volkmar, on War Altar against some factions, he feels much tankier. because he by default has spell resistance. But Bolt Altar, unfortunately, is not good nowadays. So if I take him, I usually take him like on a horse. With Jade Griffin.
Why is he not good? What happened to it?
On Voltor?
Yeah.
Just not enough damage. Pretty much like in Warhammer 2, people told me like he was just a menace, killing 20 million Zoros per second on that thing. Nowadays, I've seen him, lose to Vikings on foot, and that was sad. So I wouldn't recommend it. Maybe into Zinch War Altar is still fine. Who knows? He causes terror on that thing. He's unbreakable. 55% resistance again, missile spells. That helps a lot against things like Blue Fire.
Let's talk
but
about
if I use
stuff.
him,
So go ahead.
Yeah, if I use him, I take him on a horse and with Jade Griffin and Grand Soulfire.
You don't like the damage resistance?
No, it's fine actually. Like you can take it. Sometimes I do. It's just not a necessity.
Not a priority.
Grand Soulfire, yeah. Grand Soulfire specifically helps a lot when he gets surrounded by Cav. And I take him like this into Wood Elves and Tom Kings specifically. Because those factions don't have armored cavalry, not really at least. So Grand Soulfire, even like if he gets surrounded by Wild Riders or something, it still hits them really hard. It helps cleaning, like generate just like spears on Wood Elves and stuff. He's like a semi-diving piece that's hard to just block with Cav.
Yeah, and it's semi-resistance to sniping, I guess.
Yeah, because he's regenerating and he still has the spell resistance even on a horse. Not as high, I think it's only 25, but nonetheless. So like you cannot just like really doombolt him.
And he also has flaming magical attacks, which is
good
into both
helps.
factions that you said, yeah.
He's not primary Lord or like Lord you see a lot. I think War Altar, if it gets buffs and it starts dishing out damage against infantry the way it's, appropriate for the price, you would see him much more often. But for now, yeah, he's a niche, let's put it this way.
Not niche is Balthasar Gelt, who is, well, is he basically, let's say just, on air quotes, because it's not really a small thing, but he's a cheap metal caster with a power recharge item that can fly. That's it. Like, is that enough? Like, that's good enough to make him a good lord?
I mean, yeah, I've seen people often just go super wide Empire, just take Searing Doom, Plague of Rust, him on foot, and he costs exactly nothing. You don't even need Staff of Valence if you go with these two spells. Like, 550, it's kind of crazy. And on top of that, like, he has spell resistance, so like, even dropping Spirit Leeches on him is not so cost efficient. Like, he just has it by default. Like, 25% missile resistance, 25% spell resist, like, it's really not efficient to throw Doom Bolts at him, for example. Even if he's on a horse on foot. For how dirty cheap he is, especially. In the end, yeah, he's just... You need Metal Magic, or you think Metal Magic is good here, and you want to go super wide. You take Balthasar Gelt.
Or if you want to take two heroes, which...
Or... Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you... Because if he's your first caster lord, you are locked with, him and Elspeth. So if you want to do double engineer, for example,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. On the other side, we have Elspeth. Again, another lord who used to be super meta because of the Carmine Dragon ability that could delete everything.
It still can.
It still does. Yeah, it still does. Yeah, it still does. But I don't see her that much anymore. And if I do see her, I often see her on a horse or on foot. Am I wrong? Do you use her on a dragon, or what does she do? Like, she has some interesting items, technically, but what?
Yeah, all her items are good. Elspeth is totally viable Lord. If you need death magic and you still want to go wide, her on foot or on a horse, completely fine choice. Dragon is just kind of too expensive because if you go dragon, you definitely take Death Timekeeper, and then
Because you want the heal, yeah.
it's a heal and it helps sniping single entities again. And if you take on a dragon, you do it for sniping. So we take Spirit Leech, and then we take probably let's even try to make it cheap. Let's say Doom and Darkness. We want to snipe Lord and then tear out everything. That's our plan. And it's kind of weird not to take Pale Sketch because it's a it's a
it's a big
difference in
too,
late game as well, actually. Yeah. You don't need to specifically by yourself cast spells to generate it. Like if your opponent is casting spells, you also get the buff. So I'd say most probably you should take that thing, unless you take her only with the Purple Sun. Then yeah, that's probably no need.
Okay, so...
she's viable a lot.
Yeah, she's viable.
I just think she shoehorns your build too much into sniping with how expensive she is on the dragon. But on a horse or on foot, yeah, totally valid choice. Like she's not that expensive. Like you take her, for example, just with the Purple Sun. On a horse, if you take Purple Sun, I don't think you need Pale Sketch. And it's like, yeah, 1k, it's fine.
I always thought that you always have to take life leeching when you take death. Is that...
No, with Purple Sun, you don't get additional Purple Sun. I believe someone told me that if you want to get additional Purple Sun with life leeching, you actually need a hero caster with a Power Stone. Because you're missing exactly 1 or 2 mana to get a new Purple Sun.
Okay.
With life leeching.
So we talked about the lords. Let's talk about the heroes. The Warhammer 1 heroes are a bit sad for the most part. Like, the captain is cheap. And he's a shield.
He's cheap and annoying. You can take him into something like Wood Elves.
Wood Elves, I guess?
Yeah.
Like the Dwarf Bane, you just send them and just...
Yeah.
But it's not exactly like something that... Oh, I'm learning Empire. Let's master the usage of the Empire Captain. Like, that's something that comes a bit later, I guess.
Yeah. I think if Hold Line gets a bigger radius, right now it's only 35 meters, you'll probably see him more often, just as one to support your box formation or something.
The Witch Hunter and the Warrior Priests. So the Witch Hunter, I've seen him used by a few people. Because he has this thing, I think, with the accusation. Is that a gimmick? It seems to me that is a gimmick, but because he's not super cheap with accusation, but he still has decent stats. Would you recommend a Witch Hunter as a hybrid person?
Some people like him. I don't use him that much, but accusation is a strong debuff. So, I'd say you can use Witch Hunter as, something in reserve, where you see that, okay, your opponent brought something big and dangerous. Let's hit them with accusation. That unit in particular. It also helps a little bit with ghost units, which is a little bit of an issue for Empire.
Oh, that's true, because it removes physical resistance.
Not completely, yeah, but still, it's a noticeable difference, I guess. Generally speaking, yeah, accusation is good. You're right that he's a little bit expensive. For 650, it could be a Huntsman, could be a Halberd. So that's probably why you don't see him that much. But as you mentioned, shout out to Nerexa/Serica. He loves taking even 2 of them.
Serica's a Wood Elf player. I'll have to invite him sooner or later, which fills me with dread. But yeah, whatever. That video fills me with so much pain. But whatever. The warrior priest. The warrior priest is mini Volkmar, I guess. To me, when I look at his kit, the main thing that stands out is the banner of eternal flame.
Yeah. That's kind of his thing.
Do you take him often? Is there a use case for the warrior priest? I think he was buffed a little while ago. Was he? My dream?
I don't. I think Shield of Faith specifically got range increased at one point. I personally don't play a lot with him. I use him into, like we're gonna see today in the replay.
Yeah.
I actually used him, but if there is a niche for him,
Danicantrop liar confirmed.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, obviously. If there is a niche, it's indeed like Banner Return of Flame. If the enemy faction is weak to fire damage, and Soulfire to deal with units like Ghosts. That's more or less his niche.
Because their stats are like 2 Warhammer 1 to guarantee more and more than
that. It's not killing anything. Yeah. Not really.
Is there anything special about the Empire wizards? Other than the fact they have a lot of lore? Okay, so they're really cheap, yeah.
They're dirty cheap. That's really the thing that's special about Imperial Colleges of Magic. They spam those wizards.
Yeah, they're cheap apparently. And they can fly, which is a good
yeah, that's a big difference. Someone like Hyles would kill for a flying hero caster.
Let's take a moment, since this is just a lot of stuff we are skipping, because we can't go over the lores. Because the items are the same, right? Yeah. Tell me about these two items, because I always have a bit of a struggle understanding these two items.
They're not great. There's not that much to add. Power Stone is one of those items which, like, I think gives you in total 3 mana, which is it makes a difference, I think, for Purple Sun with like Spirit Leashing, as I mentioned. But other than that, you probably not get an additional spell because you took a Power Stone, and that power recharge is not particularly noticeable. It's like 2-3 more mana or something. If you have 100 gold and you don't know where to spend it at all, I guess take a Power Stone. Blast is one use is just not good enough. I think it acts like an Amber Spear. So if someone wants to, they can test it in custom battles. But like if you maybe line up a shot parallel to the unit, the way you would do Amber Spear, maybe it does decent damage. But
so we can.
I doubt very useful.
Oh, okay. The other generic lord, which I think stands on a league of its own, is the engineer, which I am in love with. Because these guys kill stuff.
Yeah, engineers are probably the closest thing that you have to obviously OP on Empire roster. I think the ranged attack just has like 0 penetration, or I mean infinite penetration actually. You can just they go and test it in custom battles what they do to Iron Breakers when they just flank their shots, just normal shots. I'm not even talking about Mercurial shot specifically. 2 of those is a very strong skirmish. You can contest points very easily with them. It's hard to kill. It's hard to kill them without a dedicated spell. They demolish infantry lines if they are not contested.
Because of this?
They're very strong. Not even just because... Like, Mercurial Shot is very strong on its own, but just their ranged attack. Like, it's good against everything.
Yeah, and like they except die cavalry, only if you mess up, I guess.
Yeah, because more or less.
They have very little health, so they will die quickly, but because they can fire on the move, right?
Yeah. It's a 360 shooting. It's
It's a 360
it's a
shooting,
very powerful hero.
very powerful shooting hero that can fire on the move, and if you have the micro to just every couple of seconds just move them, they will very rarely die. And this thing can like 3/4 mainline infantry, like a dark elf bleak sword. It will just
I think it will just evaporate Bleak Sword from existence.
Yeah,
Like either half HP or just it's gone.
it will effectively make it
And-
useless if you line it up correctly
Yeah.
from the side. And these other abilities are like they aren't terrible. They're just not particularly useful unless you're going full
Yeah.
kite with restock, I guess.
Restock, obviously, replenishing ammo is strong. It's just specifically in domination. It might be better to, just what's called send them to
Resummon
reserve
stuff?
and then resummon with Mercurial shots again. Like if you have 100 gold spare, sure, take a restock. Or if you do like a heavy kite build,
Yeah.
then sure, restock is amazing. Master of Ballistics is something I have issues with because if I take Engineer, I always take them on a horse.
Yeah.
I don't need them to stand near the artillery piece. But on the other hand, if they're running nearby a land ship or steam tank, it also counts, I guess.
And you never take the mechanical steed, right?
No, you pay 100 gold to lose 6 speed, and you get some melee stats which you're not going to use anyway.
Yeah.
Like, there's just no point. But Budded Horse is already
It's a very good
you know.
mount already, yeah. So the last hero that I want to talk about, because the others have been touched on other videos, is Theodore Bruckner, which sadly I don't see basically at all. But I have won games with it with the Baleflame Amulet. Is there?
Beast.
Yeah, I know, I am. Can you help me find a use for this? Basically,
Yeah,
super Empire Captain. He doesn't have a shield, which is annoying, but
You take him on a Reaper, and he gets a Terror. And that makes him your cheapest Terror source on the roster. So, for example, if you're going with a lord like Marcus Wolfhard, or Balthazar Geld, and you don't want to take the Arwar Demigriffs, you just don't have funds for them, you can take Bruckner, 1100 on the Reaper, and here's your Terror source. That's still kind of hard to kill. It's like 6k HP, the single entity.
Do you ever take him with stuff? I guess Fearsome Combatant helps.
Yeah, Fearsome Combatant helps with his terror job. Titan Headsman is a great debuff because you can apply it on anything. It's a very good one. Baleflame Amulet is just too expensive, and he doesn't really die. He usually just routes before that happens. Like, your opponent kind of needs to make sure.
If you're bad enough, like me, he dies. Don't worry about it.
Fair enough. But I never took it. Stonelands, Liar's Bane, I think too expensive what they give you.
Okay, so
like, if there is a kit for him, it's just he's Fearsome Combatant and Titan Headsman, or just as cheap as possible. I just need her. That's it.
Let's move on to the roster. So we have, spears.
Exactly.
They're cheap, and they're probably the best chaff spears in the game. Because they're very cheap.
Say so. They're very cheap, and they have 42 melee defense.
The only problem is this, but everything else is excellent, I think. Right?
They also don't have any melee attack and weapon strength. But other than that, it's a cheap spear that does its job and just a little bit more. They're solid. There's nothing else to say. It's one of the core units for you in general as an empire.
Let's include the swordsmen. Swordsmen are slightly more offensively slanted. Would you say that you always want to have 5 spears before you take your 4 swordsmen?
It depends on the matchup. Against something like dwarves, you don't need spears.
I guess.
Uh,
I mean, that's a
so
very specific use case, but okay.
yes, so swordsman would be a better choice. There's also like a case with high elves specifically where they rarely hit you with like cav rush, like chariots. Not like they can do that, but that's usually not the case. And swordsmen trade super well into all high elven, chaff. I think they just outright win against ship's company, but I'm not sure. I'd say swordsmen are a little bit underused because people kind of get used to this whole like 5 spears with shields, 5 spears without shields, and call it a day.
I definitely am guilty of that.
Aren't we all? But I think swordsmen are solid. A little bit unpleasant to pay 25 gold more, but sometimes you just need a little bit more chaff clearing, which also is a chaff that creates space one way or another, and that's where swordsmen do the job.
What about the RORs, the Grandel's Company and the Sigmar Sons? Do you take them?
The ROR spears, I never take both, to be honest. The ROR spears, even though they get expert charge defense and ITP, I think. Yeah, they get ITP. Usually the reason why people bring them is because of the rear guardian.
Yeah.
So like you park them near the steam tank, and your steam tank is, I think, gets physical resistance or something. Please check, Mr. Sternguard. The people crave for knowledge. The rear guardian.
The rear guardian is like 15 field resist.
Yeah, so your steam tank load
yeah.
becomes less killable, and they're just not gonna roll easily. Like 70 leadership with ITP is pretty solid, and 52 melee defense. So if you do these war machine, playstyles, we probably should take one. But generally speaking, it's not a unit I use a lot.
Especially because if you have the tank, like the tank needs to move around a lot.
But to be honest, tank is 40 speed, so it's not gonna go too far from them.
Well, it will because the enemy will just clash with the spears, right? And then
that's true. That can happen, but it would be silly if you would guarantee 15% physical resistance all the time, every second.
I mean, that's a good point, but I personally have found it a lot harder than I would have imagined to just keep the two close. Is the dreaded triple Hellstorm with 15 fizz resist meta thing? Can we make this happen?
Unfortunately, I'm not good enough at this game to make it work. You need to be very strong.
I should have invited someone else. Should have invited someone.
Unfortunately, yeah. In Shimbambo.
Yeah, Shimbambo would make it work. Sigmar Sands are just unbreakable, and that's it.
But they have better stats.
Yeah, they do.
Not just from chevrons, but they have a little bit more charge and bonus HP and weapon strength. I was watching a video with Blood Penguin and Human Boy. They were discussing Empire as well, and Penguin made a good point, which is Sigmar Sons used to be auto take because 2 spearmen used to be 375 or something, and that made one Sigmar Son was better than 2 spears or something. And nowadays,
the math doesn't math as well. I get it.
Yeah, just in general, 700 for just a little bit better swordsman than Unbreakable can be very helpful when you try to hold the point, which sometimes is an issue. Your infantry is not famous for huge leadership, and for those scenarios, yeah, sure, Sigmar Sons would be great, but in my personal opinion, just summon 2 more spears. I think that would be more useful.
Harbids are a strange unit.
There's nothing strange about them. They're great. Okay, they're not great as they should be, but they're still useful and pretty decent.
Where do you use them? Because I guess my main thing is 99% of players will just start every single army like this. Right?
Yeah, but because they're boring.
Oh, because they're boring. I see.
Yeah, they're boring and then super gamers. Halberds are great secondary line. It's if something pushes through your first line, it's usually something dangerous, like I don't know, stupid minotaurs, like trolls, stuff like that. This is where halberds come in clutch. They have not only armor piercing, but just generally better stats than spearmen. And what is the most important part? They have more leadership by 10. Like these guys hold noticeably more, and well, just having better offensive stats helps them dish out damage against things like minotaurs. I generally like halberds. I use them a lot. I love them into Khorne as an example. And I recommend people do less 10 spears and sometimes, get more halberds in the second line. Still need buffs, obviously.
Yeah,
because I'm greedy. Flagellants. They're a weird unit. I don't think they're great. They have very weird passive, where it's they get like melee defensive, they're losing, but only for some time. And because of that, you run into a weird issue where it's like if they win, they just get a lot of damage and they trade poorly. Or if they fight something that's significantly stronger than them and they keep losing, then the stronger thing is it's gonna wipe them anyway because they have 0 armor and 26 melee defense is not a big number. This will cost like 600. I think someone made a test where max Chevron swordsmen win flagellants while being cheaper. But anyway, being unbreakable still helps a lot.
And that's yes, you use them if you want unbreakable above everything else, and that's it. Is that correct?
Yeah, and the offensive stats are still, it's pretty solid. I just think their main issue is that they keep downtrading into things.
There was a time, I think, when the Tattersouls were actively worse than the normal flagellants.
Interesting.
They got buffed. Do you often take the Tattersouls if you want to take?
Tattersouls are actually good. Like they're legit good. You pay just 200, but you get 40 more models plus chevrons. Tattersouls is a unit I use pretty often.
For a specific reason, or just I want an unbreakable offensive unit that will just.
It's the same case as with like Sigma Sun. When I mentioned it's like, I need some staying power on the point. It's not gonna rout and it's gonna kill like just shit crap. And even though like they still run into the same issue that normal flagellants do with downtrading into things, just because of like big HP pool and 51 melee attack with like 30 something charge bonus.
1200 manuals is a lot. 1200.
Yeah, like Skaven slaves are not gonna hold a lot.
Now this unit I have personal beef with, because on the one hand, it's one of the chaddest looking units in the game. On the other hand, it beats Infernal Guard for Chaos Doors, which makes no sense.
I mean, it's because Chaos Doors are cringe and Great Swords are based.
I mean, we are not at Rat Clan trainings. We do not endorse the personal viewpoints of Danicantrop, who is a proven liar. But Great Swords are what? Like in a faction that has so far had basically mediocre infantry, whose main allure was that it was cheap. These are what, like semi-elite offensive infantry that is. What's its job?
Yeah, its job is very straightforward and simple. It's to kill infantry. It's either to kill enemy infantry that struggles with armor, or kill armored infantry that your enemy brings. Greatswords are great. One might say it's the best greatsword unit in the game. Not like, they're not gonna win Swordmasters of Hoeth, but the price bracket the great swords are in makes them very, I wouldn't say spammable, but it's a very convenient to slap like 3-4 into your main army, and you still have a pretty wide force because of that price. And they keep just like kind of trading great into everything.
Yeah, that's what I found.
So,
Well. They're
we love great
surprisingly
swords.
good.
Yeah, they're just great. It's in the name.
Yeah, they also have swords.
Yeah. As a unit, it's like, as I was saying about halberds, it's like it's your secondary line that deals with like dangerous large targets trying to push. Great swords are more of a, I'm gonna support my first line with an infantry blob that's slowly getting in there, and things like Sternguard, Forsake, yeah, they will die. They're not going for my great swords. I'll kill them all.
Now,
So
this makes sense.
bring great swords.
Right? Yes, bring it. Now, these other things are a lot more complex, so I'm gonna need your help.
All right.
How do we tackle the missile infantry section? Because, like,
It's pretty easy.
archers and huntsmen together, like, how do we subdivide this old stuff? How would you subdivide?
Guns, bowls. I'd say it's the easiest way to do it. Archers, no more 350 archers. Just cheap, small arm fire. They're fine. There's nothing exceptional about them. But if you need the shooting to kill Sternguard or any other unarmored stuff, they're gonna do the job. Low range is a problem though. Crossbowmen are the same thing, but you get a little bit more armor piercing and most importantly 30 range. I'd say usually it's not worth it because they also shoot slower, I believe, in comparison with archers.
How do I
You look at missile strength, but the bar.
Reload time is 13.
13.
10.
Yeah, they should. Yeah. So, like, crossbows are supposed to be your answer to, like, okay, I still don't need to kill like heavy armor, but I still would want some armor piercing, and I need a little bit more range to do a counterfire. Something you would use in theory to, I don't know, shoot orc archers, for example, or something against, I don't know, also has like Ungo raiders, stuff like that. Unfortunately, I don't think they're great. And usually, if you want longer range archer fire, you go huntsman, because they give you a couple of things on top of that. And huntsmen are a great unit. Vanguard deployment means you get your early caps with them, and since they're stalking, it's not a huge risk for you to lose them immediately. Huntsmen are in a spread out formation, so spells don't hit them as much as they would crossbows. Huntsmen can fire on move, which is a big deal in this game because ranged units with fire on move are not as janky. They can dodge spells better. They can shoot and reposition themselves, and against particularly slow enemies, you can kite a little as well. 36 speed is more than the average. And bonus versus large, of course.
Yeah,
it's huntsmen are great.
Huntsmen are great. I've never seen, I have seen crossbowmen against beastmen a couple of times, but generally you either go 350 or 650.
More or less, yeah.
Do the RORs ever see play?
No. The ROR huntsman.
They have cool names though.
They are. But it's an empire, everything's supposed to be cool a little bit.
Oh, okay.
They have ITP, which is not a big deal on archer unit with 65 leadership. Like if something gets to them, they're probably going to be dead or run away immediately. Their whole shtick is that they get some combat stats, but I don't want to pay 250 on a ranged unit to have combat stats that they're still not going to win more order if it's going to get to them, Dash jacks are just bad.
Guns. So we have Free Company Militia, and probably my favorite unit in the roster, the Sterling's Revenge. These are...
But they're amazing.
Yeah, these guys are great. Because they can...
They are semi-decent in combat, so, you know, if half alive goblin gets to them, they're gonna win that fight. 120 models means that, like, even if you look at their missile strength and it doesn't look as impressive as, you know, archers, as an example, by having just like 30 more models, and by, you know, having guns which are more accurate in general, the damage difference is noticeable. Usually summon them as like a quick reinforcement from Vanguard to kill something large, mostly. But you also can use them as like a secondary line. They shoot in the gaps and stuff. So Free Company Militia, you rarely see it built, Empire built without a couple of them.
Yeah, they're so they're so versatile. So you want a couple of them as well.
Sterling's Revenge, same unit, which is already great, but you get stock for some reason, ATP for some reason, and armor piercing. 120 dudes just shooting with AP pistols, very painful. People don't like Sterling's Revenge for a reason. I mean, they're scared of them.
They will die to a burning head, though, so be careful.
I mean, it's fine. You know, just don't get hit by burning head.
Yeah, just play better. Okay, that's all. The rest of the gun compartment, like handgunners, are not a unit, right? Or are they a unit?
No. I mean, I use them. I use them into Skaven specifically. The argument is, if you want guns, you either take Hawthorns because, well, higher range means they don't, you know, they're more safe. Or, you know, if you want more damage, you take Iron Sights because they have armor, they are more accurate, they shoot faster. My personal opinion, like, handgunners are a little bit underperforming unit, but I still take them into Skaven as an example, because I need some range fire to kill Globadiers, and I don't want to go with non-Iron Sights because Iron Sights are simply more expensive. And Skaven have good tool to, you know, just obliterate your backline. So that's their role for handgunners. Like, you need AP, small fire, but you don't want to invest too much into that.
They are very fragile, though.
I mean, yeah, they have no armor. They're going to be a burning head. But like for 600, you know, you don't feel so bad when it happens. Silver bullets are same handgunners, but you get magical attacks and you have stock, and I think they have a little bit more range.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yes, 5 more range, yes.
Good unit, especially if you expect something with physical resistance. And, you know, you can sometimes catch people off guard with, you know, a net, and then silver bullets appear and just, you know, get a great volley. But they do to burning head, obviously. So
they do that to burning.
My recommendation: don't get hit by burning head.
Indeed. Another one of my favorites are the non-Iron Sights, because I just enjoy Black Powder Discipline, because I'm a dirty, like, no-skill gamer. But there was a debate for a long time if they were good or not. They got buffed and like 25 gold cheaper, and suddenly most of the Empire community thinks they're good. What's up with these guys?
They're good. 60 armor might not look like a big difference, but it means that a unit like Dogs or Dark Riders will not evaporate them on contact. And they do have a little bit better melee stats, so that helps. The Black Powder Discipline, even though it's a little bit awkward to use and it requires you, you know, to stand in one place, so that usually means box defensive gameplay where you force opponent to come at you. It's still good passive. Guns tend to be accurate. Non-Iron Sights are insanely accurate. and that reload skill plus 10, they I think get like reload time 4, 5 in general. Like they shoot every 5 seconds or something, which is kind of crazy. They lose
Yeah.
some models, which is unfortunate. But usually the accuracy and the reload time
Makes up for
allows them to makes up for it. Hochland's core unit.
Yeah. So, like
Long range snipers, they're great.
The main thing is that they're very long range. They can remove shields with the ROR, so you can kind of constantly like pick off models from a relative safe distance, to the point where I would say like the most common Empire army, if you want to learn, would start with something like this. Like the meta is something like this, and then stuff is a relatively safe, like protect the queen composition, right? Where these guys will just kill most things if allowed to shoot. They are very fragile to dives because they have no health and no armor, and they will die to artillery, obviously. But their like weird formation makes them somewhat resistant to spells. So if you can manage to have like bodies all around them, they can win you games. I do think they're a bit overused though. Like they make up a disproportionate number of Empire armies. Just start with 2 or 3 Hawklands, then let's see what happens.
And
but they are very, very good.
They're very easy to use. They're just very simple and easy to use. And snipe is a little bit like snipe is a little thing. Sometimes on some maps it makes no difference. On others, it's such a pain to deal with Hawklands that just like sit in the forest that somehow covers 2 points and you just don't see them. And your only choice is to push. And well, they're in the forest, so everything that's quick usually is large and doesn't want to be in the forest ever. So
yeah, they also synergize very well with a roster that is very good at quickly responding to something that goes into your back line. So yeah, they are very easy to use. Would you say that Empire relies a lot on its shooting to win the game, or is it like, for example, with dwarves, you do need like you win the game with this and with this, like with dwarves.
Yeah.
Is that the same thing with Empire?
Yeah, but like with Empire, you can play without missile infantry pretty much and rely, as range damage purely on missile cavalry. But without range damage at all, play an Empire, yeah, kind of unreal, to be honest. Like you need some ranged fire. It depends if it's like foot or it's missile cavalry or chariots or it's artillery, but you need something.
Let's talk about cavalry. I think it's a very difficult section to actually understand because it's like okay, difficult in understanding where you actually want each type of cavalry unit. I think is actually more appropriate, or at least I always struggle with this. Let's talk about it. Empire Knights are cheap and tanky.
They're your blue collar knights. Yeah. 110 armor is a lot. But they do no damage at all.
Yeah, so they are useful to protect your Hawklands. Because you throw them at the stuff that's trying to get your Hawklands. That's it.
Exactly. It's the cheapest mobile blocker that you have, and it's a little bit of a problem since 850 is not particularly cheap. You can have, like one Empire Knight more or less covers 2 Dark Riders as an example, but one Empire Knight cannot block 2 Dark Riders.
Yeah, but
so
that's Dark
Here's an issue with that.
I mean, Dark Elves are a problematic faction, so,
Wow.
Reichsguards are weird. Because now we start into the... Yeah, well, basically all of this is Empire Knight Plus, right? Like the price range is...
No, not really.
Okay, then teach me, oh wise one.
Sure. Rex God are an actual Empire Knight Plus, but it's more of a, what if I want my Empire Knight to actually kill things? This is why you take Rex God. Because you get noticeable weapon strength and charge bonus boost, and little more like melee attack, melee defense, obviously. Some people swear that like it's a good unit. I'm not so sure about it. I think there was only one matchup where I found them to be decent, and it was what's called? It was Britannia, and maybe into High Elves, maybe. But in general, yeah, it's you need Empire Knight, but that actually can kill stuff. You take Rise God, I guess that's the idea behind it.
Like the ROR has Vanguard, so I can understand why you would take it, but the normal Reichsguard feels very strange to me. Like, if I want a blocker,
me,
I
even
can do
ROR
it cheaper.
feels strange.
What is it? It has ITP, Vanguard,
and Vanguard.
Like you pay a lot for it. Like I'm not, like this doesn't.
Yeah.
It still does seem weird, but I can somewhat understand. This seems a bit too costly for what it does, especially because very close to it you have Knights of the Blazing Sun and of the Black Rose, which are, and the purpose of these two units is a lot more easy to parse, right? Like,
yeah. Knights of the Blazing Sun is a unit I personally love. They are your real shock cav. They have 42 weapon strength, 78 charge bonus. It's a noticeable big buff to even Rise Guard, but there's also a thing where like people don't really notice that they have 1200 mass, which means, you know, if they charge into low mass units like Marauders, like Elven Infantry, the impact damage is just noticeably higher on the Blazing Sun in comparison with even Black Rose. So yeah, we take Blazing Sun when there is an obvious use case for their flaming attacks, to kill regenerating units or dryads. We take them because we need shock cav that actually deals damage, so we need to push, and we need a cav that's like decent both into cav, enemy cav, and the infantry.
Also, they have.
They still struggle a little bit with armor, but it's fine. Yeah, if enemy faction relies on like something like Melkoth to win mobility, this is where Blazing Sun shine, because that spell resistance helps. It helps noticeably.
The newest knight is the Knight of the Black Rose, which is the tankiest and the best at dealing with infantry. So, like, how do these two compare in infantry killing power?
Blazing Sun, if you cycle charge, will deal better with infantry.
Okay.
Black Rose are just, they rely on their bonuses as infantry to stay in the grind and still be able to hit things. Enemy infantry specifically. While also being a mass blocker. Like 50 melee defense is kind of freaky on a cav. And ITP and 7500 HP. It's a greenskin level HP on cav.
So how do you decide which of these two to bring? Because I've never, for example, against Chaos factions, you have, both things have merit in my eyes, because like a Fury will evaporate to a Knight of the Blazing Sun, right? Does it also evaporate to a Knight of the Black Rose?
No, it won't. Even Slanesh Fury, if it's gonna get a charge from behind, it's still like it's gonna deal good damage, sure, but the melee defense and bonuses to infantry will lock in sooner or later, and that ITP with 75 leadership means that unit is not going away from its place, not anytime soon. Their main job is a blocker like Empire Knight, but also wherever I put them, I want to win infantry grind. And on top of that, it's a blocker that you're probably not gonna remove unless you bring something, very specialized to kill them. It's like you need like good halberds to kill them. You need like minotaurs with great weapons, type of stuff. I use both units a lot. I am not a believer in spam for Empire Knights. Usually I have a mix of
which is
those
the
three,
like
one way or another.
we have talked about like the basic Empire army does like if we go like this does seem like the spam for Empire Knights is the meta like choice. So this
Yeah, you forgot 4 war wagons.
or yeah, I also we don't mention that. Okay, so I can kind of learning a little bit, although it's still a bit foggy in my head. But maybe I'm just stupid.
Sometimes it's just vibes. I think the whole Rexguard, Black Rose, Blazing Sun discussion is like Empire players tend to have different opinions in that regard, and I think it's fine. I think it's good.
How about Demis?
Demis is your AP cav. Lances are a little bit underwhelming from my experience. Even when you expect that, you would see a situation where they're supposed to cook, they kind of don't. So I'm a little bit disappointed with them. Halberds, on the other hand, are great. If enemy faction doesn't bring AP cav, something like Kislev, or like High Elves, which are mostly limited just by 1 Fireborn, Britannia, who are AP cav, it's usually just like Grail Knights or Esther Knights. Halberds are it's something that you should have like 2 of them in reserve. They don't rely on charges. If they get into grind with large targets, they bonuses large 25, which is a lot, helps them to dish out damage consistently. It's simply a great unit because it does its job well. The only issue is it's bad against infantry, both lances and halberds. So it's a specialist unit by the end of the day.
Does the ROR? Do you always take the ROR, or do you often take like? Because 400 is a lot.
I wouldn't say always. It's a lot. But yeah, the thing about ROR is 400 is a lot, but you also get so much. ROR not only gives you terror, which, as we discussed before, is a little bit of an issue on Empire roster if you don't go with like a Terror Lord on a Griffin, but also they give you Glorious Charge. And Glorious Charge is one of the best passives you can have on a mobile unit, because it synergizes so well with the Terror by applying that leadership debuff. Like everyone who played against Kislev knows what happens when like Wing Lancer charges you and then Frostworm just like looks at you and units just like rout immediately. You can do a very similar thing, but even better, with Empire by taking like Royal out of Griffites and Boris. And it's one of the ways I play often. I take Boris and Royal Aldous in the starting army. Rely on this like leadership debuff blob. They just charges into things and they just run away constantly. And you constantly heal it in the process. So I think it's a great unit. Do you always take them? Not necessary. 1850 is expensive, especially if you don't have healing magic. But for those 400, gold, you are definitely getting a lot.
It sucks because they always whenever I take this unit, no matter the matchup, the enemy has a little Grom, which can takes 1/3 of their health in the first second of the match. So I'm really, really scared to take them.
You don't summon them when there is little Grom on the field, you see.
The Grom just appears the moment I click on them. It spawns
I mean, it's cheating. Like, people cheat in this game, it's fine.
Yeah, I know. People cheat.
They just summon little groms all the time.
It's,
Yeah, I
it's,
understand.
it's a plague on this game.
Truly.
The Missile Cav. You're a big believer on Pistoliers.
I'm not a super big believer on them. I just think they're good. That's it.
Like,
It's your cheapest fast point contester or skirmish / something like that. And Pistoliers are just your cheapest mobility, period. I always have one in reserve where I use them literally just to follow something out of the battlefield. Or as a quick, I'm going to steal a point. I've seen some people play with like 4 of them in the starting army against factions that don't have like a good range superiority to skirmish them back, like Beastman, for example. Maybe Noska, though I wouldn't recommend that. They're not exceptional, they're just fine.
They do have fire on the move and 360 shooting, which does help a lot.
Yeah, they also have like 4 skirmish cap. They're a little bit they're doing much better in damage regard.
Yeah,
Like
because they have
comparatively to Irelia and Reaver,
yeah.
they do much more damage. But the range and low ammo is
The Outrider is a unit that surprised me a lot. Like the grenade launcher is like one of the most infamous units in the game, I would say, because it is a very fast, very powerful infantry clearer, which is very fragile but can deal a lot of damage even against armor stuff. But the gun Outrider really surprised me recently. How would you describe the normal Outrider?
It's great. It's a quick, I need to kill something large right now. And you summon this unit from Vanguard, and it locks in, and it deals a lot of damage. It's a great unit. The job is very simple. You just shoot at things. Large things, usually, they don't hit infantry well. And they do their job great. The same can be said about the grenade launchers, but other way around, where you use grenade launchers to kill infantry. You're probably not going to see a real Empire build without at least one grenade launcher in reserve or in the starting army.
How much is their damage compared to like an end gunner? Like
noticeably higher. Handgunners are much more accurate, but the Outriders do more damage.
And they're usually safer because they're quicker.
Yeah.
And they have Vanguard.
If your job is to kill Thunder Tusk or like a big monster, Outriders is your best choice for that.
Now we get into the most enjoyable way of facing Empire, which is Wagon Kite.
Yeah.
So war wagons are the ranged chariots with a lot of ammo that are very not these, but they're very accurate. They do a good amount of damage, and they are somewhat hard to interact with in melee. They're not the worst, but they do have some like weird collision stuff. And they're fast enough that they can dodge some projectiles as well. So they do form a very reliable skirmish core that is somewhat infuriating to play against. Do they have, like, why would I take wagons instead of like a mix of Outriders? Because the survivability is a lot higher, I guess.
Outriders with guns, deal more damage than a war wagon. If you need to kill something like, as was mentioned, Thunder Tusk. But the wagons is a unit that consistently dish out damage, and it's hard to shut down throughout the game. So I'd say the difference is you take Outriders with guns when you need burst damage, and you take wagons when you just need the consistent poking throughout a specific amount of time, like most of the game, let's say, or half of it at least. That's the difference, pretty much.
Yeah, they're a lot safer.
Wagons. It depends, because 60 speed is very slow. But you are right that it's just hard to interact sometimes, because like there's a blob of 4 of those, and it's hard to deal with for some factions. Yeah.
Do you use the mortars? Because they have often been said they're bad, and they might be. I don't know. I haven't really tested them.
Never in my life I used the mortar, but
they're just so inaccurate. Like, they can be used, but they're probably for a more advanced situation, and even then they might not be good enough.
I think someone mentioned like people using them against wood elves because they don't die from arrows of Kurnos. And that's the only reason why people take them instead of normal
Arrows of Kurnos is so OP, man. That's the first thing I'll have to discuss with Sharika when I invite him. Arrows of Kurnos is so busted. It should be permabanned from all games, all tournaments.
I'm not gonna discuss it.
Okay. I'll try to sneak it in again later. Have you played a lot with the Black Lions?
Just a little bit.
Why do you hate fun?
They're very expensive.
Yeah, but they're cool.
Sorry, I'm boring. But it's a cool unit. I don't think they're bad. They just suffer from the same issue that other Hellbusters have, where they just like all of them or 4 of them point at the same model in the corner of the unit. So if you want to use them specifically as like until large tool. You're playing against Khorne, and God forbid they decided to bring a Hellforge Bellower, and you like rejoice. War wagons with Hellbusters. That's how you deal with it. They lose a little bit range and ammunition in comparison with a normal Hellbuster, so I think if you take them, you probably need some engineer with a restock. Because most probably 17 ammo is not going to be enough to pay for themselves unless they shoot like something very expensive and slow. Is it a unit that someone should experiment with? Yeah, 100%. Is it a viable unit? Yeah, I'd say so as well. Is it a staple? No.
So these are like the centerpieces of the other style that is not the one we talked about before. Like, if you don't go spears and Hocklands, you might want to start with like these, or maybe even these. I don't know if 4 is too much, but like...
And 4 war wagons, 10 spears, and like Marcos or Boris. That's a real build. Very infuriating to deal with, but it's a real build.
Very fun build indeed, yeah. Let's end with our artillery and war machines. We talked about tanks. The sort of counterpart to tanks are the land ships, which have fallen way down in usage after their nerfs. I don't know how to describe it, but they seem to be like, these stats don't seem to be correct. Like, one Empire Archer could probably kill a land ship. I don't know what's happening. Like, they're really
I have the same feeling. Like 10k HP, 90 armor, and they just explode because Ungar Raider shoots at them. I have the same problem. I'll just say quickly about land ship. For now, it does deal damage, but I don't think it deals enough for its price.
Yeah, it's a shooting...
It's not a chariot, it's a mobile shooting platform, which is easy to use. Yeah, but it's just like, it doesn't have enough oomph, I think.
Yeah. So, and you want to then, because it doesn't shoot enough, you want to try and use it as a chariot, but the moment you use it as a chariot, you put it in so much danger that it doesn't really pay off, because it will die immediately. While the tank can be used as a chariot.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't, like, Landship is not really gonna die from melee.
Yeah, but if you put it on the front line, it gets closer to the archers.
No, this is true. And, everyone has some skirmish always. Like, I know what kind of game we're playing. Landship is going to move out of its formation, and like 3 horsemen with throwing axes will materialize out of nowhere, and Landship will explode.
Yeah. Because it seems like if you could use it as like, I don't know, a single entity with the firepower of 2.5 cannons, then you would keep it behind the main line, but it doesn't. It has a very small damage profile, so it's very, I don't know, it's really hard to make use of it effectively, I think.
I think in theory it's supposed to be something that like you have your box of spears and greatswords and all of that, and you just put Landship in the middle of it, and it just shoots in everything it can. And that's the job. It's a ranged piece that's not gonna get shut down by Furies or something. It's a ranged piece that you're not just gonna dive with Hellstriders or something. It just stands, and as long as it's standing, the box is holding, Landship is generating its value. But the issue is just the damage is not enough.
Yeah.
For it to be worth it.
Speaking of high damage, the Luminarchs do have high damage, but they're a lot frail. They're a lot frailer, but they are frail, but they're not a lot frailer than a Landship. Landship shit. Don't use a Landship. What are these guys?
Super specialist unit. If you take Luminarch, you always take a Regiment of Renown, in my opinion. You pay 200 for 3 nats and reload time increase. At the same time, it's super worth it. Please do it.
You do have three uses of...
Just a net of Amentor with 20 seconds. Wait, with 20 seconds? Why? Is it normal? That's not a normal duration time on the net, no? It shouldn't be 20 seconds. No, it's 20 seconds. Okay, I'm sorry.
World Champion Danicantrop, by the way.
Washed. Zero knowledge.
Yeah.
Temple of Luminarch, a very expensive piece. Similar problem we were discussing about the Hellblasters.
Yeah.
But while Hellblasters, I would say it's preferable to shoot at large targets. Hellblasters, the Black Lions specifically, are still fine at shooting cav or like elite infantry. Luminarch, on the other hand, only single entities, and it's better be an expensive single entity.
Yeah, it's a big sniper rifle cannon with some utility attached to it.
It's a huge investment into a very specialized job, but it does the job super well. It's not a magical chariot; it's a misleading.
It's a magical
classification.
It's a mobile magical cannon.
It's not a chariot; it's a magical nuclear bomb, to be honest.
Also,
like a very specific.
Also, if you're playing with a friend and you want him to have a really like fun time, you can do this. And he will really appreciate the fact that he can never move any of his units. It's gonna be really funny.
I think you need to remove the Shams and Horse and take another light wizard with a net.
Oh, I mean,
and we're golden.
You make a good point. Maybe like one in reserve, just in case you need another net. You never know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, big sniper rifle cannon. Then we have the standard artillery. We kind of touched on the Hellblaster. The problem with the Hellblaster, besides the fact that it seems to like get stuck on a hill, whatever like elevation it will stop shooting, is its relatively low range. But if it can shoot cavalry, it will do a lot of damage.
Damage-wise, Hellblasters, if they don't do this weird thing where they shoot at the same model in the corner, damage-wise they're really good. I think there is an argument, to use Hellblasters as your anti-heavy cav if you struggle with this, like against Dark Elves as an example. I think Hellblasters are great if you manage to bait your opponent into, closer to your reinforcement on some maps, and then you summon Hellblaster to kill their ranged, or like like trolls, monstrous infantry, stuff like that, while still shooting from your reinforcement zone, and your enemy is already engaged on the point. They can't really just retreat and go back. It's a unit that I personally start experimenting more nowadays, and I more often than not happy about it. But yeah, if the targeting issue gets fixed, I think it's going to be seen much more often.
I agree. Let's talk about the other pieces. So mortars is just a standard mortar. It's really inaccurate, but it's really cheap. So some players do like against some factions that have lots of unarmored units, just bring 3 like somewhat chevroned up for accuracy mortars. I don't think it's worth it, but some Empire players do like it. Makes some sense. I don't think there's much to say about it. It's cheap. It's kind of low damage.
I think it's my go-to answer against factions that can bring a lot of archer fire, like high elves and wood elves, because they have archers, except skirmish archers, tend to be in like more tight boxy formations with low HP. So it doesn't matter that mortar is inaccurate. Just one, cannonball. Okay, is it cannonball and mortar? I don't know.
But it's a mortar round. I don't think it's a
mortar
cannonball.
round. I'm sorry. It's something. Artillery round on a mortar.
Wait, let me ask ChatGPT. Wait a second.
Please don't.
Let's pause the video. I mean, I didn't mean Chat. I mean an expert in cannonball manufacturing. Do mortars use cannonballs? No, it's a different type of shell because there's a different shape.
It definitely should be different.
And it's more cylindrical with fins on the back. See?
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. So do you often use them then? I thought they were somewhat of a niche pick.
Yeah, into wood elves and to high elves.
Do you bring like multiple because they're cheap? Or do you bring...
you have like 2, 3, and they just force your, archer heavy armies to, well, die a little bit.
They force you to die. Okay.
Yeah. There is, like, immediately, since we are talking about mortars, Hellstorm Rocket Battery is the same thing in concept, but more oomph. The normal Hellstorm Rocket Battery, I think, is too inaccurate and expensive, so you don't see it that much. While Sunmaker is amazing at doing the same job as we mentioned, which is like cleaning that like huge backline that you can't really push easily. But it's very expensive.
And it's just really, really fast, surprisingly accurate. It's the the problem is that it's the price tag.
Sunmaker is a big banking on it to win me the game type of thing.
Yes.
And sometimes it does a job and you win the game, sometimes it doesn't.
And you lose the game. Cannons are cannons. They are good at if they hit stuff, but the normal cannons often doesn't. It has really poor accuracy in my experience. Well, the
sometimes
Hammer of the Witch is better.
Like I usually say, if you want cannons, you usually go only Hammer of the Witches, but I still sometimes take just normal cannons because I still need an artillery piece, long range, to do artillery dueling. Like, I don't know, I play against Greenskins and they bring a Doom Diver. Hammer of the Witches, 1100, maybe I don't have 1100, but I have 800 in my build. So I just take a normal cannon. But usually, Hammer of the Witches, a huge upgrade, you get more ammo, magical ammunition, obviously you get reload time from chevrons, and it just deals more damage in comparison. And all of that for 300 gold, it's a little bit of a steal.
Does it have... Yeah, it has fizz resist as well. Okay. It's really good. The Hammer of the Witch is really, really good.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but okay. It's good.
They're religious.
They have Catholic aura. Okay, never mind. Now, let's move on. Oh, just one more thing before we go to the replay, which is... Does Empire like a specific type of map? Or can it adapt to basically all maps? Or does it depend on the matchup?
It definitely depends on the matchup. If you face something like corn, you don't want to have trees on the map. You don't want to have hills. You don't want obstructions for your high-team units like grenade launchers or war wagons or outriders. And you want the map to be, as big as possible. But on the other hand, if you play against dwarves, you actually want all the hills and you want all the forests to make sure that you are not getting obliterated from the artillery.
So it mostly depends on what type of army you're gonna bring, because you can bring multiple, and the matchup.
Yeah, but usually, from most of the matchups, you prefer matchups where you have a home point, and you prefer a matchup maps. What did I say?
Maps.
You prefer maps,
We want maps
usually with a home point, and you prefer maps with very clean terrain, so guns don't have that much of an issue shooting. Though it's not such a big of a deal for war wagons, but you can for your free company militia might jank here and there, Hochlands, and we don't want that.
Now let's move on to the final part of the video, which is going to be the replay analysis. I've selected this one because, well, there's a bunch of cool units, for one. There are a bunch of units that have very specific use cases that you might want to expound upon. And I think it's a game where, if I remember correctly, at a cursory view, it might seem that you were losing most of the time. But you actually aren't. So maybe there is something to be said about that as well.
Yeah, cheating is still a problem.
Yeah, of course. Like if you want to get better at this game, just cheat
Cheat
and
codes.
lie and make your units unkillable. That's what this channel is all about. Okay, so Empire versus Toon Kings on I would call it a very gun-friendly map. So you choose to bring no guns. Can you please explain a little bit about why you bring this build and a little bit about the matchup in general, if you don't mind?
The plan was simply to rush because it's a close contact map. So reinforcing points with infantry is much easier here. And that's why I decided to just more or less stuff Tom Kings and then win on points. That was the plan. I did not bring any range because Tom Kings have very cheap tools to dive your artillery or guns. It's like 350 carrion or like 400 horsemen. It's so unbreakable. It's so very annoying.
And fun. So fun.
It's very fun. Yeah, Tom Kings is god tier experience. So yeah, it's a very dumb build. I've probably not the best one, but the map allowed me. I just went max swordsman just for cleaning the skeletons and flagellants because they're unbreakable and they still clean chaff one way or another. But their main value here is just being unbreakable wall that just runs and being annoying and holds points. That was the plan. At least we took Burning Head against to help clean chaff, and we took Warrior Priest and Volkmar. Their main job would be to die for Shaptis with Great Balls, chosen of the gods specifically, and they will of course get surrounded by horsemen. They press the Soulstorm, how it's called.
Soulfire?
Yeah, Soulfire. Clean calf. Continue being annoying. Volkmar being regenerating helps him to not die in the process. Warrior Priest, I expect him to die sooner or later.
Did you expect... Because it seems like the opponent also had a somewhat similar thought. I don't think that like a 4 Ushabti melee Ushabti build is the meta against Empire, right?
No, I think it... I mean, I don't know if it's meta or not, but I have seen people do that a couple of times. So I don't think it's something rare.
I guess I'm down. I would have expected artillery and stuff. I guess the map wasn't really...
It's Storm Kings. It's Storm Kings. You can always summon artillery later. What's gonna happen to it?
Oh, okay. Sorry. So let's begin. So your point is just to alt right-click here, basically, and just keep...
Yeah, it's a very intelligent build.
Okay. So the opponent has a Deathcaster, basically, and just does the same thing to you. Are there any particular things you are aware of while playing Tomb Kings? Or rather, yes, while playing against like a faction like Tomb Kings as Empire? Like, do you always have like, oh, I'm gonna need to always keep track of the, I guess, Ushabti Greybow's ROR, no matter what, the whole game? Yeah.
There's two ways you can, like Chosen of the Gods, you need to make sure that even if you can't kill them, you at least don't allow them to shoot uncontested the whole game. There are a couple ways you can approach it. One of them is, Hammer of the Witches, or just Grey Cannons. That's one of the ways to deal with it. Another one is diving them with single entities like Volkmar and Warrior Priest. Just being annoying. Just making sure that they don't shoot. So, but in one way or another, you have to approach it. As a super intelligent, pro gamer, I decided not to cap the points with my horse characters.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense.
We don't do that.
Well, you knew that horse characters have lower cap weight than your flagellants, so you said, well, I'm going to cap it with flagellants because they have more cap weight.
Honestly, true. I calculated everything.
Makes sense.
For Summon Sovereign's Revenge, I see the Chosen of the Gods kind of far away, and I see 4 Ushabti, which are really hard to kill. Like I don't know what's wrong with them, they don't die. So I decided to bring my, ranged AP missiles.
So this is...
And more or less, yeah, we're just starting the brawl.
Yeah, they're basically just a brawl. This is what you were talking about before. This is the result of one, charge plus assault fire, and the skeleton warriors are crumbling. Now, obviously, crumbling is fake, so it doesn't really mean anything.
Yes, it is. It's not a real mechanic.
But something should be happening. It isn't, but it should be happening.
Yeah, me retreating from Scorpions, or whatever their name is. Necropolis Knights with halberds. I honestly forgot that this unit exists, and I kind of thought it's just horsemen running at me. It wasn't the case. We summon an Outriders as a
Ushabti counter?
AP, yeah. I made a little bit of a mistake here, and I was actually keeping my Outriders a little bit further than you should. They still have issues with accuracy, and Ushabtis are very small. Yes, so it would be a better idea to bring them a little bit closer.
Yes, because the closer you are to the target, the more accurate you get in this game. Unless you're a Hell Cannon, in which case CA decided that you should just always hit.
That's 4 Warriors of Chaos, so that's fine.
This is assault-free zone, obviously. Now the Diet Furies are coming, and this is something that, Diet Furies come. I assume they would attack your Outriders. My response is always to just click them back and just summon a knight, click on the Carrion. The knight will then get stuck on the Outrider, the Carrion will kill the Outrider, and I will rage quit the game. Is there a better way?
Reasonable approach.
If not, I am a reasonable man. Is there a better way to handle a flying dive on your range units with Empire?
Not really. Unfortunately, as I mentioned before, Empire Knights 850. That's your cheapest blocker. That Pistoliers can block as well, but they're not killing Carrions, and they probably die to Carrions. So you have to summon Empire Knights. Fortunately, Carrions are not Furies, so they don't actually evaporate units on contact. But they are probably even more annoying because they're very cheap, and if they die, it doesn't matter at all. One of them, there was probably a misclick. One of them, charged the caster. What you do in that case is, they land, you charge them with Empire Knights. Your opponent sees that, they fly.
Okay, now this is why you are a better player than me. Your Outriders do not have object permanence, so your knights just phase through them, while mine just are made of bricks. So these units.
You really need to install some cheat codes.
Yeah, I mean, I am a humble Padawan, but this is now this will now work, and this feels very skillful and great. Good job.
We're not gonna watch Volkmar dying in the process.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not like a professional caster. I'm sorry.
So when that happens to you, you spam click. You spam click like insane, man.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll be able to get out of the situation that will usually cost you the game. Thank you, Warhammer Jank, for saving me. The plan is actually simple. We're trying to just outgrind Tom Kings while being annoying, and they do this exactly the same thing to us.
You are,
and we're having fun.
1,000 value behind. Is this just Volkmar's health, which has regenerated to the point that this is, I'm not going to say meaningless, but like a lot less impactful than you would think? Because I would, like, watching this, I'm not going to say, oh, Empire's 1,000 value behind.
The value meter is broken, as we know. But it's going a little bit equalish. There's just an issue that 2k of my value, which is Warrior Priest and Volkmar, are not doing their job well, which is being annoyance to Chosen of the Gods. Chosen of the Gods were shooting most of the game fairly fine.
And is this because the opponent did something special? Is this because you made a mistake? Is this because
both. My opponent immediately realized, okay, like Necropolis Knights, they're not going to get soul fired, and they'll do a quick job if they get surrounded on a Volkmar. So my opponent summoned this unit. I did not expect them, and I paid for that, so it's my mistake. If I would see that there is an Necropolis Knight with halberds, and I would approach it properly, maybe we would have a better value meter right now for the Empire.
I see.
But my mistake. A very balanced summon of a Ushakti randomly.
Yeah.
Anywhere on the map. It's they need it.
I mean, it only dissipates after like 90 minutes, so I don't know what you're complaining about, but still.
Yeah, I'm in skill issue.
Yeah. So this is the Soul Fire we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, this one was Warrior Priest. Warrior Priest one is not, I think Estron is the
it's not
Volkmar / Arch-Elector, but it's still half HP on a Horseman, it's fine. Mostly, yeah, the whole plan is we try to kill Shakti with our Outriders. If we succeed in that job, maybe we'll be able to hold the points. The plan did not go amazingly because I was supposed to, take point 2. If you do this like stuff and strategy, that's your, goal more or less. But we get a good opening here. This is like we were discussing like the difference between Outriders and War Wagons. War Wagons would never be able to do so much damage. Like it was 1/6 of the way HP pool on a very expensive cavalry piece.
In one volley.
And it was just like from one volley. We decided to run in the worst direction possible with another Outriders.
Run towards the enemy unit, which is.
But this is my design.
Yeah, of course. Now, I don't know. From a very superficial standpoint, the game already feels a lot more decided than 30 seconds ago to me, because this unit is starting to stop existing, and I think the Ushabti summon has been deleted. Is there? So I would say you are starting to win now, from what I would, very slightly, but you're starting to win because the Chosen of the Gods have been running around for a bit, so ground is being gained. So do you feel like you're winning now?
Not really. Chosen of the Gods are full HP, and I think every model is intact, if I remember correctly.
No, they lost one. So
There was
if you could stop like lying to us, it would be good.
I'm sorry, I had it.
Do you then?
But
are you thinking about the same game plan? Just right. I asked. Okay, so you're just doing it now. So I assume the answer is yes. So that's the main.
yeah, I'm not super
priority.
intelligent, man. I'm just gonna right click here.
Oh, okay.
The issue is we still we have a lot of outriders. And we don't have enough cavalry to block carrions to deal with those outriders. And slowly but surely, we already don't have any infantry on the field. We're, generally speaking, in not the worst position ever, but we're not doing great. I think I was supposed to hit.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a soulfire, but
maybe it already was there. I don't know. Humble, please and son.
So the value meter is getting really weird. Like as I was watching the game, this doesn't seem.
I keep losing units, to be honest. That's why we don't really have anything on the field right now.
That's true. But
And this is a scenario where Tom Kings are feeling extremely good because they can just spam horsemen on the points. And if you don't have enough just meat on the point, they will retake it from you and you're not going to be able to recapture it easily. Thank God both Volkmar and the Warrior Priest are still alive. But other than that, we don't really have a lot of stuff on the field. So in that plan, in that case, our plan is generally just hold the points as much as we can. Which is going to be hard with 2 skirmish cav. Managed to get a good soulfires here and there.
Do you then now start spamming cap weight just to keep up the pressure of the Tomb Kings player?
It probably would be a good idea at this point.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah. But I still wanted some Empire Knights because I still have Outriders, a good amount of ammo. I still need to save them.
Another Soulfire? Yeah, so 2 Soulfires crumble a horseman. Which is, well, they start the crumbling process, I guess. Which isn't real, as we've discussed.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to be going to the points a lot. Is this a mistake on his part that he's so focused on killing your stuff, or is that a correct move? Because it's starting to get close to 1,000 points. Or is it debatable? It's both have their merits.
We will never know. Outriders are, big DPS unit. So killing them is probably a priority and should be. But at this point in the game, probably spamming cap weight would be a better way to go about things and try to dive them with cav instead of carrions.
This was just a free point farm the whole game for you.
More or less, yeah.
I don't know, I can't help but think was a bit strange considering he did manage to stuff you back for a good third of the game now. I will say Volkmar's not dying ability is really impressive in this game. It really showcases that he just doesn't die.
Pumpkins usually need a big monsters which are very expensive to kill single entities like that, or surround with Necropolis Knights. But it's not usually the type of things you bring into Empire. So he gets an opportunity to do his job pretty freely. He's not that expensive, so it's not a big deal, even if they do bring something like that, for some reason.
Well, let's see. This is the kind of latest part of the game, so this is the thing that I was going to ask you about. Okay, so you stabilized, you have the points lead by a substantial margin. I would say you have a very secure home point, because he has very low cap weight. Just in general. And the first thing that happens is that he brings a carrion over. Is this
No, he didn't summon that carrion. The carrion was following an Empire Knight. making sure that it doesn't come back, which was a good idea. It's a 350 unit that was following, like, I think 60% HP Empire Knight.
Oh, I thought it was just summoned here. Okay.
Yeah. No, he just forgot about it, but it was following the Empire Knight.
Because if you watch what happens now... Okay, so let me... Why isn't Capway being spammed out? Because, I don't know, shouldn't like 20 horsemen be coming out constantly? Or is that like a losing move now?
So
is it
on
late?
this map specifically, yeah, I'd say that's more of a thing. I think on this map specifically, I mean, it wasn't too late, but on this map specifically, I can reinforce the points with infantry, which is also cheap and has more cap weight than cavalry pretty consistently. And the issue here becomes, more of a actually need to kill stuff. I can't just like bring horsemen on these small points and just outcap. It's probably not going to happen.
Because the game feels
so
already
I want to start
won.
summoning Reshaptis. Well, not really. It's actually pretty bad.
Why?
But,
What's happening? Why is it bad? What's happening?
Because there are 3 Reshapti on the field, and
yeah, but
there are 3 Reshapti on the field, and
you are 1,300 points. What am I missing?
Storm Kings. It's a very cool and balanced faction. And light cap weight, especially 400 unbreakable light cap, is very fun and can win you games in a very interesting manner.
So,
and I know about this, so I just spam infantry. I just hope that poor state troopers will hold. Losing Volkmar, he's probably gonna die right now, is a very big deal and would probably cost me the game, and usually is the case. And that's why also something like Flagellants was the choice here, because against a faction that has only fear, has fear on every unit. Being unbreakable allows you to be very sticky on those points. Unfortunately, I don't have a single one on the field, so things will start routing very quickly. The second Volkmar will leave the field.
I guess you were right. Ushapti and the 1,500 skeleton horsemen are very fun, but I guess the fun has gotten too late to the party on this specific occasion. Because you do manage to keep hold of at least 1 point.
It's a little bit crazy. Right now, just because I charged that outright, that he did not.
Super easy win. Super easy win. Because yes, charging units do get a small leadership buff.
15 charge bonus.
If you didn't.
Charge bonus, 15 leadership, yeah.
So just before we end, a couple of things. Do you have one piece of advice for a budding Empire
Rangers?
Yeah.
Be aware that faction is a little bit underexplored in domination, and you keep seeing people playing them the same way, which is like 10 spears for war wagons. Good news, I see more people trying out stuff, bringing more great swords into the builds, more halberds, some more appreciation for Lunaran sides and stuff. So my recommendation is experiment. I think Empire is the most fun when you try to, bring more diverse army compositions. Don't go too heavy, don't go too weird, but nonetheless, try that steam tank here and there. Check out where it works, where it doesn't. Try to have 2-3 great swords in the starting army immediately to have this more sticky presence on the battlefield. Maybe in this matchup it actually cooks. Maybe try handguns. Everyone keeps saying they're bad, but maybe in that specific game they're gonna do well. Who knows? Maybe they're amazing into Tomb Kings. Maybe it's something we should try out next time.
Do you have any shoutouts?
So that would be my recommendation.
Shoutouts, last words. until the next video, that will sadly have to be about elves, which, I mean,
Wow.
it's sad, but that's,
Uh,
I mean, this is what.
Shoutouts to the whole Rat clan for making these videos and being good friends to me. Shout out to Sternguard right here, right now,
Indeed.
who is beautiful, handsome, whatever they say about Italians nowadays.
Fact.
And
mostly.
shout out to Sarika, because wood elves are OP. And we mentioned him a couple of times, so
I
we probably
guess
should shout out to
that
him.
is I guess that is a good way to end it. Shout out to Serica, because Wood Elves are OP. We'll see you guys next time.